This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. It's Monday, November 14th. Let's check out today's top stories. Communication sales and leasing, the Windstream spinoff, announced a $4.1 million third quarter loss. More interestingly, the Little Rock-based real estate investment trust said it would acquire privately held Network Management Holdings, which owns and operates 359 wireless communications towers in Latin America, with an additional 114 build-to-suit tower sites under development. A new research report from the Washington, D.C.-based Tax Foundation and the University of Central Arkansas unveiled several tax policy recommendations for the upcoming Arkansas legislative session. Key findings that emerged from the report include consensus that the individual and corporate income tax codes need to be reformed and the state's sales and use tax base needed to be, quote, right-sized. Read legislative reaction and more details to the report at talkbusiness.net. Low crop yields could force some farmers in Craighead County to abandon their livelihoods by the spring. That's according to extension agents. Rain, humidity, periods of intense heat, and other factors have led to a relatively poor harvest for rice, soybeans, and corn farmers, three of the staple row crops in the region. There are roughly 200 farmers in Craighead County, and there are estimates up to 5% of them could go out of business as a result of poor yields. And those are your top stories of the day. Keep up with these headlines and more at talkbusiness.net. A quick break. We're back with John Brummett. It's Monday, and there is much to discuss in the world of politics. Stay tuned.
First Security is here. Only here. So that means we're here, here, and here. Even here. And definitely here. Because here is where we want to be for you. First Security Bank, only in Arkansas.
Arkansas's most abundant natural resource provides the core asset for Deltic Timber Corporation. In addition to the sustainable yield stewardship of its well-stocked timberlands, Deltic adds value by integrating its efficient wood products manufacturing facilities, as well as through planned development of commercial and residential real estate. Deltic Timber Corporation, creating value for a growing Arkansas.
If it's Mondays, it is John Brummett. That's our motto here, and he is with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, but he's with Talk Business and Politics today. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Fired up the old Twitter feed over the weekend with the Razorbacks stumbling and bumbling.
I did for the first.
It was highly comical.
I did for the first half, or early in the second half. To all the people who wonder what happened, my beagle Roscoe had a medical emergency, and I spent the rest of the game at the animal emergency room.
Is Roscoe
He's
okay?
fine. He's
Okay.
fine. He's fine, and I didn't have to watch. It was 21-10, and the vet announced 38-10, so I didn't have to endure it. But that would have been some good opportunity for tweeting.
That would have been. You would have. It was rich for the experiencer.
Right.
All right, let's turn our attention to Washington, D.C. Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump. Can you say that 3 times real fast?
I can't say it once.
He says he is going to drain the swamp going to Washington, D.C., so he announces the head of the Republican National Committee to be his chief of staff,
Right.
As well as some other insiders. There's an exception in there, but what do you make of this transition team and Donald Trump's early attempts at governing?
I think, generally speaking, with a couple of glaring exceptions, like the Breitbart guy being,
Which we'll get to.
being senior strategist, Trump is opening up in a largely conventional way, sort of trying to slide away from that stuff he said in the campaign, and he's not the first to do that. His are maybe a little more, the slides are a little more pronounced maybe. Becoming more pragmatic, looking around about building a government and saying, well, I need somebody who knows how it works to get going. Even if you're going to drain it, you need to understand it before you can drain it. So maybe that's what's going on. So it seems very, plus he's moderating his positions. You know, this Obamacare, 2 or 3 of those things, maybe we need to keep doing those.
Yeah,
And,
the 60 Minutes interview kind of brought to light some of his maybe wishy-washiness on a couple of those issues that he was pretty pronounced about, Obamacare being one of them.
Well, to be clear, and this is my Wednesday column. I've written it for Sunday, but I keep pushing it back because something else takes it. But he said I'm going to repeal and replace, and I'm going to do it very, very quickly. It's the very, very quickly that's the issue. But I think that a repeal law could be passed very quickly, and I think you phase in the details. You say we're going to phase it out in a couple of years. We're going to let the Asa Hutchinsons of the world tell us how the states want to do it in terms of their Medicaid expansion, in terms of their exchanges. I bet that's what's going to happen. So you repeal it quickly, and you replace it gradually, which is not it's not the first time a man or a person has been elected president and found a need to temporize or move. It's not the first. That's the least of my concerns about Trump. In fact, I find it somewhat encouraging that there's some conventionality so far to what he's doing.
Let's talk about an unconventional pick
let's do
here,
it.
and this is Steve Bannon, the head of Breitbart, going to be the basically the Karl Rove is what it is, senior policy advisor. This is a guy who brings a lot of baggage to the table and also brings some pretty edgy political tactics as well. It got Donald Trump elected. What do you kind of fashion for a Reince Priebus on one hand and a Steve Bannon on the other?
I think this is the classic balancing of your constituencies, and also this executive style of having people who are going to maybe who are going to complement each other, maybe, but that may be a euphemism for clash and butt heads. In which case, the executive makes his decisions based on the dynamic of the competing information he's getting. I do think, and I agree with the Southern Poverty Law Center and others that this Breitbart News has emerged as an alternative right, a site that gave entirely frightful forums to white nationalist, white supremacist thinking. I do. But on the other hand, he was the chief executive officer of the guy's campaign, and it is interesting that, what's his name, the Republican chairman,
Reince Priebus,
is going to have an actual job. He's going to be the chief of staff. He's going to work with Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and the insiders and in Congress on getting things done. And basically, Bannon is going to be over here just by himself on the organizational chart answering or advising the president. That he can't do any harm unless Trump lets him do harm in that position. And I find that I'm looking for any comfort I can get, Roby, and I find a little comfort in that. I think he had to put this guy in his administration, you know, if he wanted to be. It's part of the coalition that elected him, and it has to be served. But I think this is, if Bannon was chief of staff, or if Bannon was going to head an agency, I would be much more outraged than I am about this particular positioning.
The traditional media beating itself up over this election and how it was kind of handled, taking a lot of criticism, standing up to a lot of criticism at the same time, a little bit of both. Bannon would suggest that alternative media is going to be more influential. Donald Trump says on 60 Minutes, I go straight through Twitter because it's a direct form of mass communication. We've been witnessing a transformational change in the media landscape already. Is this just put it on steroids? Do you think there'll be the rise from the left as well? What's your takeaway on how the media performed in this election cycle?
Well, after all that, the question is, how do I think the media performed? I think the mainstream conventional media performed fine, and in fact, in some cases, heroic. This guy, Farron Holt with the Washington Post, doing his work about Trump's finances, the New York Times. We wouldn't have known half of what we knew about both these candidates if not for the coverage of the New York Times. The Wall Street Journal, the conventional leading newspapers, I think, performed heroically. But I think we're in an era in which there's no fact anymore. There's no accepted fact, there's no accepted truth. Just today, if you Google popular vote, you know what Google puts up first? This website that says Trump got 3 or 4 million more votes.
Right.
That we can't even agree on the score, you know, anymore, because there's some website that is now, and Google is probably the leading avenue to get to information like that. The first search takes you to this place that said, well, if they counted all the votes, on the ones they're counting, maybe Clinton got the most popular votes, but Trump actually is ahead by this much. It's not based on anything, but then that becomes cited by everybody who wants it to be true. The truth is now what you want it to be because so many avenues exist to substantiate what you want the truth to be. That's where we are.
All right, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back and talk about some state politics right after this. He is John Brummett. I'm Roby Brock. More right after this.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us. Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
Circuits turn on the lights by making a connection, by closing the loop. At Entergy, we believe our economy is circular too. What you put in comes back. So we invest billions in new infrastructure, which helps attract new industry, which helps create new jobs. We partner with local communities to electrify the economy. And together, we power life. Entergy.
And welcome back. I'm Roby Brock with John Brummett. All right, let's talk about some things happening at the state level here. Let's begin with, we have seen the Republicans make some gains in the state legislature on top of their already large majorities. They're pretty much near super majority status. I gave you some wrong numbers last week.
Entirely there. They're not quite there. They're within one vote in the House, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Democrats flexed their muscle, gained control of the House Revenue and Tax Committee, 11 out of 20 votes there. You also have some Republicans flexing their muscle. You've seen Senator Alan Clark putting a hold on the UA budget. I think I just saw a tweet from Bart Hester before we sat down in studio saying that he hears UALR has grief counselors on campus for some of the students who are concerned about this election. I don't know if that's true or not, but he says it's nice to know they have fat in their budget. So
he's going to cut
he's
off
a target there.
Any money for grief counseling. Right?
What do you make of the new political dynamic that is near supermajority Republican up there? And do you think we're going to see some basically it's time for Democrats to move aside? You're irrelevant.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of that, except on revenue and tax issues, because, well, first that part. I mean, we can read returns, and unlike some people, I know what they are, and I accept that they are what they are. And the Republicans win everything in Arkansas, except a few Delta spots, Little Rock, and Fayetteville. They win everything, and they don't win it by a little. They win it by a lot, with maybe an occasional odd exception. And we're overwhelmingly Republican, and we are overwhelmingly conservative within the Republican environment. And to me, Asa Hutchinson is now sort of the left backstop in Arkansas politics, honest to goodness. I mean, because he has some pragmatism and he needs to keep government working. I look at him as sort of the adult supervisor of the legislature.
Is he going to be a little bit like Bill Clinton and Jim Guy Tucker and maybe even Mike Beebe when you had super majorities of Democrats and they weren't all monolithic in their viewpoints?
Yeah. Somebody has to be in charge, and somebody has to be pragmatic about the realities of what government has to do and how government has to work. But this. It's interesting. I think the Democrats who got together apparently, and you may have more details on this than I did, but House Democrats, all 26 of them, they don't need a very big meeting room anymore. They got together, and the next day they're going to draw for committees. And the rules of committee structure say you go by seniority within congressional district, and they figured out we've got enough to load up early with our senior folks in the first district that we can get to 11 if we'll all do this, and they made a concerted effort to do it. So they have a numerical advantage, a one-vote majority on House Revenue and Tax. Bart Hester and others want to cut taxes a lot. Asa Hutchinson wants to cut taxes less than a lot. I think this may turn out to be sort of a blessing for Hutchinson.
Unless the Republicans change the rules between now and the start of the legislative session. They've got the votes to do it.
They could. But at the moment, the rules unchanged, I think this is actually something that Hutchinson should maybe appreciate for the moment. But You know, you mean they could change the rules between now and and
Well,
and change the committee structure after the committees have been chosen?
Sure, why not?
Well,
They've
I
got the
guess they
rules.
could.
They could do anything they want. They've got the votes.
And they have the votes, and if they want to, then go for it.
We'll see if that happens. All right, last question for you. President Barack Obama on TV earlier today, one of the things that he said is that the Democratic Party, it's all right if the Democratic Party goes through a little period of reflection. How long is this period of reflection at the national level, do you think, going to take?
Oh, it's going to take a long time. Because the next thing coming up is the midterm senatorial elections, when more Democrats are defending than Republicans, and when they're defending in places that, like Montana and North Dakota, that aren't naturally friendly to them. People had assumed even before this election they better get it now because they're going to lose it in the midterms, unless unless our worst nightmares about Trump are realized and we just have utter shambles for 2 years. Then there'll be greater loss to the Democrats after the midterms. Whatever they're going through now will be worse then. And whenever that happens, when you lose, and you lose a lot, didn't you lose the popular vote at all? Didn't lose the presidency by a lot, but in the whole range of what they're trying to do, they're losing a lot. The party that's losing tends to regather on its philosophical extreme. You know, if we're going to get beat, let's really be liberals about this, and let's find something to stand for. I think it's now the party of Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, the populist economic message, and then a full-bore, no apology, left-wing.
Single-payer health care,
sure,
all
sure,
that stuff. Yeah.
Sure, I mean, just go for it. Go for what we believe. And in the end, the way to find your way back is to stand for something and bring the people to you by your conviction. That's the way back, but it's not going to be quick, I don't think, for the Democratic Party. But the idea of this Clintonizing and triangulation and all, I mean, that's so 90s. That's not what they need to do now.
All right, he's John Brummett with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. You can catch him in the newspaper, and you can catch him at arkansasonline.com. And, of course, you can catch him at talkbusiness.net every Monday. Thank you. Good to be with you.
All right.
We're back with more right after this.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
So much of what Arkansas state employees do goes unnoticed, yet they have a positive impact on our citizens each and every day. The Arkansas State Employees Association recognizes individuals for excellence in the workplace and leadership in their communities. Congratulations to Deanna O'Malley of Texarkana, the Outstanding State Employee of 2016. We'd like to say thank you to all state employees for all of your hard work and dedication.
Time now to check out the latest stats in our Arkansas Transportation Report. The report is brought to you by the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and the Arkansas Trucking Association. Arkansas River traffic was down in September, and the month also was a reminder of ongoing volatility in the U.S. economy. It's according to reports tracking the U.S. trucking and shipping industries. Arkansas River traffic for the first 9 months of 2016 totaled 8.579 million tons, up 16% compared to 2015, with continued declines reported in iron and steel shipments. The American Trucking Association's For-Hire Truck Tonnage Index fell 5.8% year over year in September, following a downwardly revised 5% rise in August. For the 43 weeks of 2016 ended November 2nd, the Association of American Railroads reported that combined railcar and intermodal traffic was 21.96 million units. That is down 6.6% compared to the same period in 2015. You can read much more of the Arkansas Transportation Report at our website at talkbusiness.net. That's all for today's program. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.